Hello, it is Sunday, November 14th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Sunday puzzle, so we're in for a long, leisurely solve today. I hope you're in the mood for that. Should be not too difficult a puzzle, but a big grid, as we can see. And there's quite a scattering of black squares throughout this grid. I mean, it does look rotationally symmetrical, but they're sort of scattered all over the place. It almost looks like, is there any possible way this could be some sort of graphical representation of the globe, perhaps? I wonder, I noticed the name of the puzzle is Heads of State. Could that mean countries, maybe letter heads, either leaders or first letters of country names or something? I don't know. Maybe it looks like the world. I'm probably on the wrong track entirely. Who knows? But this puzzle does have a name, and it's a Sunday puzzle, so it will have a theme, and we'll have to find out what that is. But first, let me briefly mention the Patreon campaign at patreon.com/dailysolve. The most recent Boss Words Fall Themeless League competition puzzle went up yesterday. It was quite difficult, as they always are. I think I'm doing a better job understanding how the clues work, but it's still taking me longer than I'd like to solve the puzzle. So I think I was 22 minutes or something on that one. I would like to get faster. But anyway, if you're a Patreon subscriber, head over and check that out. There are plenty of other benefits as well if you're not and you'd like to know what they are. There's a link in the description field underneath the video where you can also find a link to the Discord chat server to talk about this series, about crosswords, about other puzzles with other folks who are part of this community. And that's it's a very nice thing. And let's move on because there are actually several. There are quite a few. Well, not quite a few, but there are about half a dozen or so, I think, comments to read from yesterday's puzzle. So Calixto Navarro says, mole sauce, is a sauce made from chili and spices, usually made in Mexico with chocolate. It's uncertain whether it originally contained chocolate, but since Mayan and Aztec people used to drink beverages made with it, it is possible. Nowadays, mole is the name for the sauce, but also for the dishes made with it, which usually include pork or chicken meat. So I knew most of that, and I think this comment was prompted because I said mole isn't always chocolate-based, and I probably underestimated the amount to which it tends to be chocolate-based. So thank you, Calixto. And then let's see. Kathy Swope says, nanomedicine is exactly what it sounds like. This is referring to an answer in which I intuited that nanomedicine must be a term, but I didn't know specifically what it was. And she says it's the medical application of nanotechnology. So ranging from the medical applications of nanomaterials and biological devices to nanoelectric biosensors. So there we go. Thank you, Kathy. And this is an embarrassing one for me. Jacob Raybold says, one clue you did not go over that you got completely from crosses was 53 across, director Sam, the answer being Raimi, Sam Raimi, most widely known for his direction of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. Indeed, and I remember seeing director Sam and not getting Raimi. I never returned to it, and I'm quite familiar with Sam Raimi. I've probably seen most of his films. I've probably seen all of his films except for maybe just a few of them. He's also the director of the three Evil Dead films, and I thought a very well-made horror film maybe about a decade ago called Drag Me to Hell. And he made a weird movie called Darkman. Pretty sure that was Sam Raimi. So anyway, yeah, I was familiar with Sam Raimi, and I just couldn't bring him to mind for some reason. George Adams says, it's interesting that two no longer extant entities crossed in this puzzle. The Errol Sea and Reading Railroad. The former has almost completely evaporated over the last 50 years, and the bankrupt Reading Company's railroad was swallowed up in the formation of Conrail in 1976. Many of its lines are now part of the Norfolk Southern Railway. So there we go. Good to know. And a couple other... there was an Australian prime minister who I referenced in the puzzle. Not really. There wasn't a prime minister mentioned in the clue, but there was an answer that was "good day," referring to what a mate says or how a mate would be greeted, and that's clearly referencing Australian habits. And I mentioned that there was a former Australian prime minister who had enshrined the concept of mateship as an Australian sort of national virtue, and I was pretty sure that was John Howard, former PM, but I wasn't quite sure enough to say it on the podcast, or sorry, not on the podcast, on the video. But it turns out it was John Howard, so I should have said so. Anyway, that's who that was. And Sweet Spicy Pepper says, I found this one easy for a Saturday. Do you ever do cryptics? And so this has come up on the puzzle a couple times before, and I would like to do cryptics. I've done a few cryptics, not many, cryptic crosswords, that is. They're extremely difficult, which I think they are for anyone until they've really learned how they work. And of course, that's true for this sort of traditional crossword as well, but I think cryptics more so. I mean, cryptics, if you've ever attempted a cryptic crossword, or if you're an accomplished solver of them, you'll know that they have an extremely archaic and appropriately cryptic set of rules and vocabulary and conventions. They're heavily dependent on wordplay and puns and hidden words and acrostics and not acrostics, acronyms. No, not acronyms either. Anagrams. Sorry, that's what I'm looking for. Anyway, they're very arcane, and I would like to get better at them, and I would like to occasionally solve them on the channel. I just haven't had the time to dedicate to doing cryptic crosswords in my spare time in order to sort of get into the rhythm of them recently, because I've just had too much going on. It's all I've been able to do to get this series out every day, but I would like to. And then finally, one fun comment here that's certainly something I wouldn't have noticed and that I probably won't remember. So thank you to Chaz Maru for finding it out for me. Chaz Maru says, if I count correctly, Monday, December 20th, 2021 is the grid we should expect to see Chris pass the 1,000 consecutive solves mark, which would make Wednesday, March 27th, 2019 the first solve and anniversary date of the streak. I suppose so. I'm really terrible at remembering this sort of thing. Maybe I'll try and put this on my calendar so I don't forget, because I think someone in the comments had pointed out when I was about to hit 100 videos, the 100th anniversary of the Daily Solve, and I intended to mention it, and I completely forgot, so I'm not good at that sort of thing. But thank you, Chaz Maru, for pointing that out. That is interesting, and I'll try and remember it. Okay, after all of that, let's get on to today's Sunday crossword. As I said earlier, this crossword is entitled Heads of State. Like every Sunday puzzle, and none of the others, it is named. It was constructed by Amy Lucido and Ella Dershowitz, and edited, as always, by Will Shorts. And I wonder if it will be, state could be countries, it could be US states, it could be states of matter, could be something punny and refers to stating something, speaking something. Who knows? All right. Why is that? Okay. Miss. Miss could be a lady. Miss could be to have inaccurate aim. Could be a number of things. A fairy tale monster could also be a number of things, but I think most commonly ogre. So let's just try that and see if it works. Here we have ice cream surname, Edie. I think Edie's ice cream. And a candidate's focus. A race, I suppose, race in a democratic election. To get ready to sleep cutesily. To go Betty by or something like that. That's going really, no, that's not enough. I'm just trying to think of cutesy ways to refer to get ready to sleep that start with a G, and it's too long of an answer, I think, to go without more crosses. So to give one's address could be to orate, to state, to state in a grandiloquent manner, to orate. Purchase in the card game Catan worth 1 wood and 1 brick. The board game Catan. So this is Settlers of Catan. I have played Settlers of Catan, but not in years and years and years. I'm guessing it's a road. And forgetfulness experienced by soon-to-be moms informally. So this, in a way, sort of relates to get ready to sleep cutesily, because I assume the cutesily bit means maybe a child would say it, or you would say it to a child. And here we have something else dealing with parenting. Forgetfulness experienced by soon-to-be moms informally. I'm not sure, though. Heiny. So that's, again, sort of a cutesy or slightly childish way to refer to a rear end. I think, probably in this case. Universal donor's blood type informally. Is it O negative? Is that what this is? I think it might be. Words moaned while eating a cheeseburger, maybe. What? Words moaned while eating a cheeseburger. So good. This is going to be a very colloquial crossword, it seems. We have a lot of expressions, a lot of verbal, informal speech. Bar blank could be bar none. Queen's We Will Rock You, e.g. I mean, it's an anthem, you could say. We Will Rock You was composed um, by Brian May, who is Queen's guitarist. And it was composed around the same time as We Are the Champions, which was composed by Freddie May, Queen's frontman. And it was Queen's attempt. Brian May and Freddie Mercury each wanted to write, I believe, essentially an anthemic sort of song, or a song about winning, essentially. And they came up with these two, and they're so unbelievably different to one another, and yet they both have gone on to become stadium anthem icons. I mean, staples, I guess is what I should say. It's incredible. I find it astonishing that two different members of the same band, right around the same time, could write two songs that are so different to one another, and yet both ended up becoming sort of enshrined in history for this very particular function. It's an incredible achievement, I think, and they're both great songs. Anyway, I don't know what the answer to this is, so that's my way of getting around it. Was sharing my admiration of those two tracks. Oh, Heine is a patootie. There we go. Get ready to sleep cutesily. Go. Oh, nighty night, perhaps. No, it's not. Go. Oh, night night. Go night night. There we go. Okay. The thing about these cutesy or colloquial phrases is that often they have several forms because by their very nature they are contracted and informal speech, and there are many ways you can create that sort of thing. Okay. Anyway, afternoon. Yeah, here again, afternoon partner. So this must be. Is this part of the theme? I don't really see how this sort of colloquial idiomatic speech thing connects to heads of state. So maybe it's not the theme. Maybe it's just sort of a sub theme. Afternoon partner, Heidi ho or something. I don't know. URL ender could be com or net or org or edu. It probably has to be a vowel. So it's probably org or edu because it follows H, a consonant. Worldly wisdom, don't know. Sheep, oh, what is this? We have an italicized, I almost didn't notice that. We have an italicized SH. No, I can't tell if the E is also italicized. I think the E may be italicized as well, so that would make she. So heads of state. So what does this mean? I'm wondering if heads is, I mean, she is sort of the head of sheep in the sense that it's is it, maybe this isn't the theme. I keep looking for things that are the theme, but then I think maybe it's not. Could it be you? Could it be a she sheep? And we have the she and sheep italicized to emphasize that that's what it is. So it would be you. So then that would make afternoon partner howdy do, perhaps. What a strange puzzle this is. What a funny crossword. I can't really tell what's going on yet, or if anything is going on. I can't tell if these are all incidental, sort of independent little things I'm noticing, or if they're related to the theme. Anyway, that would make this URL ending probably org. And worldly wisdom, street smarts. Yeah, so once again, another sort of idiomatic phrase. And then alternative to fiber or satellite in an internet connection would be DSL. And to leave off would be to omit. In Latin, it's stanum. I don't know. A tie, perhaps? I mean, could that be related to sort of root of stasis, perhaps? Pollution stat. Oh, AQI, air quality index, I think. And then juice cleanse, essentially. Liquid something. Oh, liquid diet, perhaps? Here we have early PC software. That's probably MS-DOS. DOS being disk operating system, which many early PC and PC compatible computers used as their operating system, and this was the Microsoft version of it. 2K for one. And oh yeah, give me an example. Once again, we have a colloquial phrase here. Oh yeah, give me an example. Name one. Name one way in which these sort of colloquial phrases tie into the title Heads of State. I don't know. Award hopeful could be a nominee. Passes along to in a way. It ends with an S. A negative one might be positive, right? So a negative test is often a good thing if it's a medical test. A pound part. Oh, ounce. Ounce isn't a pound. I see. I was trying to think of there's so many different things pound could be. For some reason, the first thing my brain went to was where dogs are kept. And then the second place was the British currency. And then finally, I got 2 pounds and ounces. Passes along to in a way. Infects, I suppose. You could pass something along to somebody by infecting it, and then hopefully they would, well, I guess in that case, they'd probably get a positive test, which would be negative. Like the winner of a handwriting contest. The neatest, I suppose. And portfolio listings could be assets in a financial portfolio, for instance. What many well-connected people, no, not many, but that would work as well. What well-connected people may have would be an in. You might have an in, you might know somebody important who might help you out. A dish named for a day of the week. Oh, a Sunday, I suppose. I didn't actually know that. It seems logical that an ice cream sundae would be named for the day Sunday, but because of the different spelling, I didn't know if it was one of those things that was coincidental and it just looks like it should derive from the day of the week, or if it actually does. Anyway, I suppose it does. Everyone knows the secret now. Once again, we've got a phrase here, a spoken phrase. It's out, I think. And you're in French. Well, the plural, informal, your, could be te, T-E-S. So let's try that. And genre for Nirvana and Soundgarden, that would be grunge. Which really arose, I think, in large part out of the Seattle scene in the early 90s. What a mess. Ugh. Toronto's province, Ontario. Final innings, usually. Okay, I'm not such a baseball dunce that I don't know there are 9 innings in a game of baseball. And the Jonas Brothers, e.g., I would not have known they are a trio, but I do suspect they are, based on the crosses. The uninformed masses, colloquially, so here we even get colloquially in here. Ignorati, I guess. And Dancing with Blank Hands Tied, Taylor Swift song. So my first guess would be her. I don't know the song. My first guess would be her, but it could also be, I mean, I guess it conceivably could be your Dancing with Your Hands Tied. That doesn't feel as correct, but it's possible. Either one. Oh, it could be our as well, actually. Plausibly. I was going to say they both have E, but our has a U. 2K for one. So 2000 or 2K. And what was this again? Oh, Stanham. Oh, maybe it's tin. That actually might be the case. 2K for one. Not sure. And then here we have what a baby might start eating in around 6 months. A solid food, I would think. And so 2K for one is a... I apologize if you're way ahead of me on this. I imagine many of you are. Let's keep looking around. A sonata movement. So sonata is a musical form, and it contains several movements, one of which is a rondo. That'd be a tough one if you didn't happen to know it. So it is dance. It must be dancing with our hands tried. Oh, and a 2K IC is a fun run. So a relatively short foot race that's intended for, it's sort of not very competitive. It's often for charity. Okay. And then Stanham is tin. Okay. And that seems incredibly plausible to me, and obviously it is, but I couldn't tell you exactly why. It just seems right. Okay, et blank and others. Is that El Ali? No, I'm not confident enough to put it in, so let's keep going. Meat in ragu al shingale. Shingale. Boar, perhaps? British nobleman. Do I have something wrong here? What is this? Oh, A in Aachen. So that's in often what will happen in the crossword is you'll have a word in English, in this case A, meaning one of something, the indefinite singular article, and it will be in a place. And what that means, if you aren't familiar with this convention, is that we're looking for the translation of that word into the language spoken in that place. So in this case, in Germany. So I think we have ein, which is also the singular indefinite article. And oh, Queens, we will rock you, e.g., right. So I think we will rock you and we are the champions, given their sort of connection that I described earlier, were possibly on the same side of the same single. I'm not 100% certain of that, but I believe We Will Rock You was the B side of the other. So does that work here if we put B there? Forgetfulness experienced by soon-to-be moms informally. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I won't put in B-side yet because I'm not. Oh. So I know what this British nobleman is, and there was something wrong. Howdy do is wrong. How's that wrong? So one of the lesser known titles in the British peerage is a baronet. It's sort of I believe baronets are titled Sir rather than Lord, and it's sort of I guess it's essentially an inherited knighthood, whereas most knighthoods are not inherited. They're granted to individuals, but they don't pass to those individuals' heir. Although these days peerages, at least newly created peerages, don't either. I don't think there's been an inherited peerage, lordship, like a duke or an earl or what have you. I don't think there's been a new one of those created since, I think, Churchill was the most recent of those. Anyway, whatever. This is a meat and ragu. Okay, right. So this probably is boar. And then Singer Guthrie would be Arlo Guthrie. And oh, right. So this is B-side. This is B-side. And then this forgetfulness thing will be something brain. And then let's just see what else we filled in. Oh, we never looked at this clue. Like some traditions are oral traditions. And I was right about this at Ali, probably pronouncing that very poorly. So what is this? Oh, pregnancy brain. Of course it's pregnancy brain, soon to be moms. That should have been the first thing I guessed, but I got really hung up for some reason on having, just by chance, having Nancy filled out here, and I kept thinking of the word Nancy, which is obviously pronounced a bit differently than those syllables are in pregnancy, and it just threw me off. Anyway, that sort of thing happens all the time with long answers in the crossword, I find. So a Nordic native, uh, is it Lap? Is that a Laplander? Miss could be a lass, sort of Scottish miss. A proofreader's directive could be stet, which means keep this in. Invisible energy field could be an aura, and a Lincoln or a Ford, those are both car makes, auto brands. So there we go, and that is Lap. And so we've got the top sort of 20% or so of the puzzle filled out. So let's move on. Scented plug-in brand. I'm not sure. I suppose this is some sort of, it gives off a pleasant odor, I guess, but I don't know what the brand. Response to a texted joke, it could be LOL. That would be the most obvious answer here. Narrow valleys, I think glens. And very affectionate, lovey, perhaps. And to get on the same page in corporate speak, align, I suppose. I suppose that is sort of a corporate thing to say. There are so many words now that I think are largely part of our shared vocabulary that really only maybe a decade or two ago would have been considered slightly annoying corporate jargon, but we've now all kind of osmosed them into our vocabulary. I think that's happening with synergy. which I think synergy still feels like weird business jargon, but definitely much less so than it did, say, 20 years ago. And I suspect in another decade, everyone will be saying things are synergizing and so on. Anyway, booting could be evicting, for instance, out of a home. Planting more than one kind of seed in a field, per Deuteronomy, must be sin. Deuteronomy seems, at least the way it's usually referenced, it's as a collection of incredibly odd sins. Or no, maybe I'm thinking of Leviticus, but I think they both have some of those. Anyway, historical subject of Hilary Mantel's 2009 novel Wolf Hall. Cromwell, Henry Cromwell. These, her three books, Hilary Mantel's three Wolf Hall books are easily, I think, some of the greatest literary achievements of, I don't know, the modern era. They're absolutely astonishing. And I was really fortunate to be able to see Hilary Mantel speak a few weeks ago at a live event, being interviewed by the co-hosts of my absolute favorite podcast, which is called Talking Politics, hosted by David Runciman and often Helen Thompson. And they interviewed Hilary Mantel in person. So it was, for me, it was about the most incredible confluence of things I could have engineered. And it was an extremely great evening. And I got to ask Hilary Mantel a question, and I got to chat with Helen Thompson. So I was very pleased with myself for all of those reasons. Anyway, a cocktail made from gin, vermouth, and Campari is a Negroni. That is a great cocktail. I didn't used to be all that into them, but my wife really likes them, and I've developed a taste for them, and now I really like them. A church council is a synod. Negroni's made, the Campari component of Negroni is very bitter. It's a bitter liqueur, and so that's what takes some getting used to. All right, an action item is a to-do. Common sense is, I don't know. A quaint contraction could be tis for it is, and that would work. That would fit between the O and the H here well enough. Here we have it'd be a real shame. Here we have it added essential worker in March of 2021, abbreviation I suspect this is the Oxford English Dictionary, which probably added essential worker to its lexicon because that phrase became so widely used in the over the course of the pandemic. So to succeed in life, to go big, perhaps? I don't know. Home of Guinea and Guinea-Bissau. And Yo Blank, internet meme with rapper exhibit. This is the one where you put things inside the thing. It's Yo Dog. This is where, I think this in itself is maybe a 15-year-old meme, possibly, I would say, as old as that. It's the one where the rapper exhibit says, we heard you liked something, so we put a something in your something. I don't know. Look it up. I haven't seen it in ages, but I'm pretty sure it's Yo Dog. Big letters in home security. This tripped me up in a puzzle about a month ago, and it took me quite a while to get. I can't remember if it was New York Times Crossword. It might have been one of the Boss Words ones, but I think it's ADT, security company. And a priority process. Triage. Triage, I think, most commonly refers to medical prioritization in emergency situations. So you triage, meaning you prioritize the wounds that are able to be treated first. And then succeed in life. Oh, to go far. I see. And then Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, Africa, AFR. What is this? Common sense. Is this mother wit? I don't think I know this phrase. Boy, we really do have quite a few idioms in this puzzle. So let's try it. Mother wit, and then a title that comes from Caesar, Kaiser, Czar. And quaint contraction, right? It does look like tis. And then here we have uses colored pencil. Used, important to get that tense right. Used colored pencil, say, would be drew. And curtains, drapes is not enough letters. Curtains could be physically, it could be drapes, but it also could be it's over, it's curtains for you, it's over for you. Again, in the sort of idiomatic tenor of this puzzle. Changes back to factory defaults could be resets. Prime time slot could be 10 p.m., I suppose. Prime time, I think, referring to times, I guess, times at which adults watch television in the evening or at night in great numbers. Quite enough, ample. To support as a belief is to espouse that belief. An interior design job could be a remodel, I would think. Curtains, it is drapes, but it's drapery. So there we go, I think. Maybe not. Theoretical primordial substance. Well, people say primordial ooze, they say primordial soup, and neither of these shares a single letter with anything that I've entered so far. So what is this? Picked up. Yeah, something is wrong. Maybe drapery. Remodel. What is this? URL ending edu. That looks right. What is this? Simple flotation device. A pool noodle. So this all looks correct. So I'm missing something. Picked up. Oh, resumed, returned to something that you'd let drop before. TV display option and poisonous shrub. Huh. Here we have one who's at home on the job. This would be, I think, a baseball umpire because they're at home plate. So what is this? Theoretical primordial substance. Is it YLEM? Is that just simply a word with which I'm unfamiliar? It must be. If it is, someone will definitely tell me in a comment and I will read it tomorrow. I have to assume that's what it is because I can't see any plausible way in which the rest of this is wrong. So let's move on. Poisonous shrub. Here we have TV display option. Here we have like some nachos and questions. Oh, loaded. I think loaded nachos is often used to describe nachos. So tortilla chips drizzled with cheese that also have a high variety of other sort of accoutrements sprinkled on them. Loaded, and then loaded questions, meaning questions with sort of an undercurrent to them. Okay. Real ones were first issued in the 2010s. Oh, real IDs. In the United States, I don't know what the status of this is currently, but there's some sort of law that introduced, I think, enhanced security measures into sort of driver's licenses and other forms of identification, and it means that most people had to replace theirs, something like that. I think that's what this is. And then a bit of fiction would be a lie. A Muppet who hosts the Not Too Late Show. I don't remember, but Elmo, I'm guessing. Suffix with Euclid, Euclidean. People often refer to Euclidean geometry, meaning it follows the sort of classical geometric principles that most of us basically understand intuitively. TV display option would be a plasma screen, I suppose. And a poisonous shrub, right? Is Oleana, is that? I don't know. What is a poisonous shrub? Not sure. Word on an Irish plane. So first thought here was a plane. Well, my first thought was completely incorrect because I was thinking of a plane in the sense of a big field, but that's not how this is spelled at all. So in fact, it's an airplane, which is how this is spelled, and it's Aer Lingus, the Irish. I don't know if you'd consider Aer Lingus the Irish flag carrier. I think you would. Flag carrier meaning the sort of national airline. I don't mean nationally owned. I just mean the sort of what's considered the kind of preeminent airline of the country, which I think Aer Lingus basically is. Okay. To send as payment would be to remit payment. Playing to the crowd. Not sure. Something with pride? I don't think so. What else do we have with these crosses? Get ready for action. To set. The C of DRC. This is the Democratic Republic of Congo, I would think. And World of Warcraft, EG for short, would be an RPG, a role-playing game. And Oscar winner director Lee would be on Lee. Above would be on top of. Metric for online traffic in brief. Huh. Oh. Search engine optimization, SEO? It took me a minute because I wouldn't think of that necessarily as a metric, but I suppose it's not a metric in the sense of being a single data point, but it is by metric in this case, instead of meaning a single datum, I suppose it means, generally speaking, I guess a lens through which to measure online traffic. So a metric in that sense, a sort of framework through which to interpret it. Arranges in random order, shuffles, I would think. And day celebrated by Star Wars fans, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, as they say. And the Gone Girl in Gone Girl, Amy, I think. I think her name was Amy. Yes, and author Rand would be Ayn Rand of The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged and that sort of thing. Assist would be aid. That took me a while. And way too loud. I think usually in a visual sense, way too loud would be gaudy, as opposed to sound volume being way too loud. And a fellow could be a bud, I suppose. I don't think that fits here. Jovian planets by another name are they're Gasian, like Jovian, like Jupiter, gas planets. But what is that adjective? Or by another name? It's icy. Sorry, I was looking for an adjective, but in fact, this says Jovian planets by another name. So we're looking for a name for those planets, which are gas giants. There we go. That makes more sense. And here we go. A fellow is a guy, and a suffix with quack and mock is ERY, quackery and mockery, both words. A 5th century invader, this would be the Huns, I would imagine, so one of them is a Hun. And a national law enforcement informally, I suppose the feds, probably. Federal police, I guess. Or the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I suppose. Like bacon and lobster in Jewish law. Oh, right. I don't remember this word. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get it through crosses. Brings back to use is dusts off. You can dust off your cleats and get back on the field, I guess, or something like that. Home of the National Voting Rights Museum. It must be Selma, Alabama, the site of a very pivotal and important civil rights march. And perfect could be ideal. The perfect crossword puzzle, the ideal crossword puzzle. A nail polish brand. Oh, I just noticed states here. Sorry. So here we have, this puzzle is called Heads of State, and I was wondering why. So here we have liquid in liquid diet, and here we have gas. Here we have plasma. Plasma is actually a state of matter as well. Are there other, and here's solid. So solid, liquid, gas, plasma. Is that the theme? Is the theme just that? We have so many informal phrases all throughout this puzzle. Pregnancy brain, go night night, patootie, howdy do, street smarts, mother wit. I mean, they're absolutely all over. There's lol in here somewhere. But I don't think I guess that's just part of the sort of flavor of the puzzle. That's fascinating. Is it really just this? I don't know. That's okay. Sorry. I just happened to notice that. Figure in the iconic "We Can Do It" poster. That would be Rosie the Riveter, the iconic wartime propaganda image of the woman sort of flexing and calling for sort of communal action. Okay, nail polish brand. Don't know offhand. Blank Tie Mai Tai, a great drink, a great rum drink. Essie, maybe? Nail polish brand, I'm not sure. Like and then, I'm sorry, we didn't ever return to this. treff, like bacon and lobster in Jewish law. I thought that's maybe what it was, but I didn't want to commit to it. All right. Like the bread ideal for bread pudding would be stale bread to make bread pudding, or stuffing, separate. Also uses stale bread. Branch of Islam, Shia in 4 letters starting with an S, I would think. And a Thai taxi with a repetitive name. I think a tuk-tuk. Is that right? Yes, here we have Obama's birthplace. So Obama was born in Hawaii, and I didn't necessarily remember he was born on the island of Oahu specifically, but that is one of the islands of Hawaii, so it must be the answer. And mail, e.g., so obviously the first thought here would be mail, meaning post. You send things in the post. But in this case, I think it's armor, chain mail armor, for instance. And, yes. Bert, who played the Cowardly Lion, Bert Lahr. I think I largely probably know that through the crossword. Although I have seen The Wizard of Oz, in which Bert Lahr played the Cowardly Lion. Cheese on a mezze platter would be feta cheese, crumbly, nice, delicious, crumbly, tart cheese. Aptly named bus driver on The Simpsons must be Otto, as in automobile, hence the aptly named. A TV button abbreviation would be vol for volume. Oh, here we go. Slogan about willpower, or a hint to 4 pairs of answers in this puzzle. So I was wondering if we'd be getting a revealer in this puzzle, and we have. The revealer meaning the explanatory answer that ties the theme together. And as predicted by viewer Lyle in Lyle's Law, the revealer is not always, but is more often than not, present in the across answers in the southeastern general region of the grid. I think often actually 3 up from the bottom. It's often the case, but again, not always. Anyway, so what does this say? It says a slogan about willpower, or a hint to 4 pairs of answers in this puzzle. Mind over matter is a slogan about willpower. So there must be more to this theme than I thought. So here we have liquid, and above liquid is smarts. Here we have solid, and above solid is brain. And here we have gas, and above gas is wit. And here we have plasma, and above plasma is noodle. Wow. All right. So this puzzle was secretly constructing a more ambitious theme the whole time that had absolutely nothing to do with anything I was guessing until just a moment ago. I noticed the 4 states and still didn't realize what else was going on. So it's one of those revealers that really only explains the theme in retrospect rather than necessarily helping you get there. I mean, maybe if I had seen the revealer earlier, it might have helped me get there, but I kind of doubt it. This feels like a theme you appreciate in retrospect more. And it's well done in the sense that each of the mind-related words, brain, smarts, wit, and noodle, each one matches the length of the associated state. And I suppose that's one reason we do have a number of colloquial phrases. It's in order to get these in there. Things like street smarts and mother wit, and pool noodle, not necessarily the same sort of thing, but we do have even more. There really are even more throughout the puzzle, like I said earlier, like patootie and these other ones. So that does feel like part of the bigger flavor of the puzzle, even beyond the theme. And very well done. Very well done. Okay, so to get ready for action, it could be to stand up. Unilever tea brand, I think it's pronounced. I don't know, though. Maybe it's not stand up. Tazo is a tea brand. Is that owned by Unilever? I have no idea. Would that work here? Yeah, I think so, because mother of Don Juan would be Inez. Inez can be spelled with a Y or an I. I think it's probably an I in this case because this looks like ing. Yes, and playing to the crowd is pandering. Here we have Costa Rica. So this does look like Tazo or Tazo. And then here we have something from nothing, the art of rap director. I'm guessing Ice-T, the rapper. And then get ready for action. Stand to. So more of a military connotation there, I suppose. Stand to attention. Actress Taylor-Joy of The Queen's Gambit. That would be Anna Taylor-Joy, who's having a moment, as they say, I would think. She's also in the new Edgar Wright film Last Night in Soho. Gillette razor. This is legitimately a piece of crosswordese. This is truly truly a piece of crosswordese that you should know. It is a possibly defunct, I don't even know. It might still exist, I'm not sure. But anyway, a razor brand from Gillette called Atra, and it is a mainstay of the crossword. I haven't seen it as often recently, but it's one that you should know. And this looks like it'll be furikake. Yes. Japanese condiment sprinkled on rice is indeed furikake. I think it's made from sort of shredded nori and some other ingredients. It's very nice, salty, savory condiment. Daily Planet reporter, this is Superman, I believe, Clark Kent. And Gaelic tongue, it would be Erse. And does that work here? Yes, catering vessels are urns, and children's author Di Camillo with 2 Newbery medals. Wouldn't have known that, but with the crosses, it's Kate. That could make the Gaelic tongue, well, no. I suppose it wouldn't be very difficult, because if you had the cat, the K-A-T, the E would be pretty obvious. Okay, let's finish this puzzle off. We're so close. To go back to the start in a way, to something, Oh, this does look like Oleanus something. What is it? Oleanus? Oh, Oleander. Sorry. There we go. That must be what it is. And then, whatever you say, sweetheart. Yes, dear, but that doesn't fit. Okay, dear, perhaps? Does that work? Yikes could be eek. And sorority letter could be rho. I mean, it could be whatever Greek letters end in O. And a courtroom cry. Oh no, sorry. It's not Anna Taylor-Joy. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. I apologize. You're probably yelling at me about that a few moments ago, so I apologize. Does that help here? Yes. Courtroom cry is hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. There we go. And a pile of cash, it could be a wad of cash. And to go back to the start in a way, rewind, something we don't really have to do anymore. I suppose we still use the phrase rewind often, even though it physically doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously in the days of VHS cassettes, when you rewound a tape, you would literally be rewinding the tape on a spool. All right, so the sorority letter is indeed rho. And there it is. There's the Sunday. Okay. That was a fun puzzle. This was very much a classic Sunday puzzle in that it really I never stopped solving. I never stopped solving the whole, I didn't ever hit a wall, and yet even then, it took almost 40 minutes to get all the way through. Never a huge amount of resistance. These are just long puzzles. These are very long puzzles. I remember seeing someone in the, someone who had joined the Daily Solve Discord chat server say that she had attempted to solve her first New York Times puzzle, and the day happened to be a Sunday, and she said she had to give up, and I had said, yeah, don't start on a Sunday. I mean, the thing is, they're so big that even if they're not brutally challenging, there are definitely going to be things in there that are more difficult for any given person, because statistically, there are just so many answers in this grid. It's huge. I find them, as I said before, I find them often to be a bit of a slog. But this one I did think was pretty smooth solving, especially once I got into the swing of the high frequency of informal and colloquial and idiomatic speech. It's all over this puzzle. And then we've got that theme, which really didn't reveal itself until almost the entire puzzle was complete. And indeed, all 8 theme answers, I suppose, all 4 pairs of theme answers had been completely filled, and we saw the revealer, the slogan about willpower. So again, that was brain and solid, smarts and liquid, wit and gas, and noodle and plasma. So very clever, Amy Lucido and Ella Dershowitz. Well done, well constructed. I enjoyed it. I don't think there was a huge amount I really got stuck on. But again, just a big puzzle. It's a Sunday. No two ways about it. Let me know how you fared with this one. Whether you cottoned onto the theme more quickly than I did, or not, and how you found it, generally speaking, in terms of difficulty. So, yes, I hope you enjoyed not only the puzzle, but the video. And if you did, please do subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell or the subscription button or your preferred method to subscribe to a channel, and you'll see these videos as they go up each day according to your own preferences. And if you know someone who you think might enjoy this, maybe someone who also is interested in getting into the puzzle, but might need some guidance, this series might be right for them. So why not pass it along, either to someone individually or to your own online community. And speaking of online communities, check out the Daily Solved Discord chat server in the link in the description field underneath each video, where you can also find the link to the Patreon campaign, where you can get plenty of bonus solves. I need to do after this. I need to do this week's mini crossword speed solve roundup. I've not done that yet this week, so we'll do that today. And plenty of other videos up on there for you to enjoy if you join that campaign. Thank you to everyone who has. Especially thank you to those who contribute at the benefactor level. A very generous group of people to whom I'm quite grateful. And today, among them, I would like to specifically thank Gabe Trinkapalmi, as well as the inestimable Hood Monster and the incomparable Shantanu Bhatia. So thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Hood Monster, and thank you, Shantanu, for helping keep this series going. I very much appreciate it. It means a lot. And thank you to everybody else who's backed the Patreon campaign. And thanks to you for watching this video. It was a long one today, so well done sticking with it all the way to the end if you're hearing me say this. I hope you'll be back tomorrow for a video that will most likely be a mere fraction of the running time of this one. That will be the Monday puzzle, generally the easiest crossword of the week. So that would be a great one to ease into if you're looking to start solving. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you have an excellent remainder of your Sunday. Take care.